Welcome to Healthy and Holy Lifestyle, a place for men ready to do life differently. If you feel like you've been trying to figure out manhood on your own, you're not alone. Here we wrestle with real questions about faith, family, fitness, finances, and have some fun along the way. No fluff, no fake perfection, raw conversations about striving to live a healthy and holy life. Let's get it. Man, Steve, it has been another week.
We actually got back on schedule here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, it's starting to get a little bit colder. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Is it getting colder where y'all are? Y'all getting ready for like hoodie season and long sleeve season? I don't know if you see this, but we got some long sleeve tees on the website.
I wore my first hoodie this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, you remember you still got to get one of our hoodies.
That's right. I do got to get one of your hoodies.
So if you're looking for a long sleeve shirt like this or a hoodie, check out imhnh.com. That's my shameless plug I'm putting out there because by buying merch, you help support this movement. Yep. You help support our ability to keep doing this. And so last week we talked about having an emergency fund.
Yeah.
Right? And we just kind of talked about a basic emergency fund of $1,000 to $2,000. I said, shoot, if you can go beyond that, try to get 1 month salary saved up. And then if you're real about that life, get up to 3 to 6 months, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we talked about. Y'all have got to watch that episode. I shared about some times I went through where I did not have an emergency fund. Tonight, I think we're going from emergency to catastrophe.
Oh, okay. It's getting worse around here.
It is getting worse around here because, when it rains,
it pours.
And then it floods.
Yes.
But God's not done.
No.
God's not done. If you got breath in your lungs, God's not done. Your story is not finished. So you may be doing your best and you're still getting hit after hit after hit. God hasn't left you and he's not done with you. There's going to be a blessing at the end. Even if it's not like a financial, even though we're talking about financial, even if it's not a financial blessing, you are going to grow and you are going to learn and you are going to prepare yourself for things you would have never been able to do if not for that season.
Right.
Sometimes it's those hard seasons that cause us to learn new skills, which we talked about that too last week. So make sure you check out last week's episode, all right? Make sure you check that out.
We got on a roll last week.
What did we end up calling that? Do you remember what we ended up calling it? Oh, man. I'm going to have to look it up now. I'm going to have to look it up real quick.
When you don't have enough funds in them.
No.
When you're broke, not poor.
When you're broke, not poor. How to survive a financial emergency.
There you go.
So make sure you check that out, why you need an emergency fund now. We are going to probably rename it a little bit, but you'll see the thumbnail is essentially surviving a financial emergency or something along those lines. We're kind of rebranding some things, so y'all be patient with us. But yeah, you've got to check out that episode. Anyways, it will also be at the end of this episode. We'll have previous episodes so they can go back and check it. Anyway, let's jump into this. So you ever feel, Steve, like the moment you're getting your footing and you're finally figuring things out, especially financially, life just sweeps the legs out from under you?
Yes, I have.
What do they used to say? 1 step forward, 2 steps back. 2 steps
back.
Right? God, I'm doing everything I know to do. Why does it still feel like this?
Yeah. I think that sometimes when I'm working all these hours and when you sit down to do your budget, you find out you need about 50 more hours to make that budget work.
Oh, my goodness.
And because, I mean, like I was telling last week, when we got this house, and it was almost a double. I mean, yes, the house is a blessing, but it also comes with twice as much responsibility financially.
Right.
And I mean, I know I budgeted as best as I could, but I didn't realize that there was going to be so many things that really didn't pop up in inspections that I had to fix. So many things, so many things I didn't figure in is like HOA dues.
Oh,
and when
man.
they hit me with that, I knew we was going to have to pay them, but I thought I had time. And that's the thing, when you always think you have time to save up.
Right.
And then when you get that letter in the mail saying they have to be paid by this time or they're going to add this much fee to it, I was prepared, but at the same time I wasn't prepared. And then the week I finally got the HOA dues paid a month late, by the way.
Right.
I had to pay the late fee and the HOA dues. I was probably one of the last people in the neighborhood, according to my neighborhood president.
Oh boy. Thanks a lot, man.
At the meeting, they were like, there's only 4 people who haven't paid. And I was like, I know I'm still a month before I'm going to pay you, so I'll probably be the last one,
I'm one of the 4.
Yeah. And so got that paid. And I no sooner got that paid that same week. And then the new car I bought, Terra, they sent me a tax bill for the tag. It was $935, and I just scraped together everything to get that HOA due.
They just keep punching, keep hitting.
And
you.
I'm like, when does it got to be paid? I'm like, oh crap! I mean, I am sunk.
Then you got to rob Peter to pay Paul. You got to let me use this credit card. Then I'll pay that. Then I'll pay this credit card to pay that credit card.
Exactly. But God, man, he told me a long time ago to just keep putting that money up every single week. And I looked in my account, and I'm literally my savings account, which was really kind of my emergency fund.
Right.
And granted, it shouldn't have been an emergency. I should have been better prepared. But I thought I had another year on that tag, but I didn't have another year. But anyway, I had 900. So I was like, well, okay. That's going to drain my emergency fund, but it's got to be paid. I don't have a choice. I got to pay it.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I didn't want to put it on a credit card because I know I'll be tempted to put it off, paying the credit card off. So I was like, I'm just going to bite the bullet and drain my emergency fund to get this over with. And then
refill the emergency fund.
And then start working on filling it back up.
Okay.
So, I mean, it happens. People who really prepare like me, I just said last week, like nothing, I've never had to I've had to start over again, but I've never had to start over broke.
Right.
Because like I said last time, I've always been saving because I didn't want to end up in a position that my parents were in.
Right.
But I tell you.
You keep a decent cushion.
I didn't think about that last week because I could have told that story last week about the HOA and then the tax bill coming due. But we got another one yesterday for the house. And then I saw it was like the tax bill on the house was like, it was way up there. It was like $3,000 or something crazy.
Sheesh.
And then luckily it said at the very bottom in red, it said, this is not a bill. This is going to your mortgage company. So I'm like, oh, good. I've already paid it. I pay it with my payment.
I'm good to go.
So, God is faithful.
Absolutely. Well, today we're basically going to be talking about financial setbacks, broken plans. And I want to give the reminder to anybody out there, just like you, Steve, that disaster doesn't mean defeat, right? We can walk through a hard time. And so I want to share one of my stories, if I could. And I've got some pictures again. So if you're watching, you get to see these pictures. If you're listening, just try to imagine if you would, okay? Just try to imagine. So one of the major things that happened to me is when I left Bible college, I was offered a position at the church, and it was as a youth pastor. Anybody who knows anything about ministry, youth pastor usually doesn't come with cha-ching.
Yeah.
Right? It usually starts at the bottom of the barrel. You
didn't get a Bentley or a Cadillac?
Nah, man. Nah. I wasn't under that. I wasn't under them dollar ministries.
I thought that was a standard equipment.
That's what people think. I had busted rides and prayer. I was on a prayer, living on a prayer every day. But I ended up buying a house, and it was a foreclosed house. The only reason I think nobody else even looked at this house, even as an investment house, is the only picture that they had was a picture of of a shed in the back. I don't know who took a picture of the property, but they took a picture of the little shed, and it wasn't even a picture of the house. And I was like, that causes people to scroll right by. But I was like, I want to go look at where this is, and it wasn't far from where I worked. So I drove by and I said, "There's a house here." So I contacted a realtor, and it was an older lady, but I contacted this realtor, and I was like, I want this house. And when we got there, she was like, dang it. I'm glad you signed that paperwork, because I would have bought this house in a heartbeat for what they're asking. And I was like, okay. Now, I don't know if that's true, if she was just saying that to put me on the hook to buy this house, but there was some stuff wrong with it. It was a foreclosed house for a reason.
Oh, man.
Okay, so
it was a fixer-upper, huh?
It was a fixer-upper, and we had to do a little bit of repairs in order for it to pass the HUD loan, qualifications. And so we did a little bit of repairs. My dad was a contractor at the time. And so we did a little bit of repairs. And then as soon as I moved in, the HVAC went out. So I take a loan out, a second loan to get the HVAC replaced. Okay, so I'm in a house without a real good kitchen. I told you about this. All the cabinets were rotted and it didn't have a stove. So really, I didn't have a kitchen. I had a microwave sitting on a 5-gallon bucket on a piece of plywood. And so I move into this foreclosed house and I'm thinking, okay, I can afford a little bit more. You know, I can maybe get a loan and it'll be a lower payment and I can figure that out. And so I had to take out a loan for the HVAC. I'm thinking this is manageable. I can handle this. Shortly after, I have 2 cars that are paid off. Because remember, I had the Explorer in the last episode.
Right.
I ended up selling the Explorer. And when I sold the Explorer for a certain amount of money. And then they gave me a Jeep Liberty, which you're going to see here in a few minutes. They gave me this Jeep Liberty. I don't know what it was. I was like, there's a reason they're giving me this Jeep Liberty. And I had been talking to a few Marines from where I lived, and they were like, yo, this dude's selling his Honda Accord for this much. And I was like, I can pay cash for that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'll have a Jeep Liberty and I'll have a little Honda Accord. So I have something really good, gas mileage, really small, nice to putt around, town. And then Jeep Liberty, I can throw some stuff in, and it'll be good. All good. All my vehicles are owned. Ha ha ha, I'm doing good. So I have both of these vehicles. We're getting ready to go on a mission trip. I throw all my mission supplies into my Honda Accord. And then I have this wonderful moment where the dash starts lighting up and going crazy. And then smoke comes out from the right side, kind of where the passenger's foot would be. There's and what had happened is the Marine that I bought this from had LED lights in there, which I thought were pretty cool, but I didn't know anything about wiring or cars.
Right.
And he had done alligator clips into the main wiring harness.
Oh, wow.
And so what it did is it drew too much voltage and it melted the wiring harness. So I had those lights running, I think they're cool. The lights are running on the inside or whatever. And it melted the harness. And so you have this moment with me. For the people who are online, they can see this. Y'all can see my little sad face.
Now
here.
Look here. This is oncoming traffic. This is oncoming traffic. This is
the median.
They call it the median, but some people call it the suicide lane for obvious reasons.
Clearly, I didn't have much choice how my car died.
Yeah.
It was like goo 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 goo, and I just started like crud. And behind me is Goodwill, and in front of me is TJ Maxx. I had just left TJ.
And what y'all can't see is Clava's behind him pushing.
No, that's before Clava.
Okay.
That's before Clava. And so, so there I am for the people watching online with my little sad face. And so I do what most sensible people do. They call they call a mechanic with a tow truck and he tows my car away. And I go, I have a Jeep Liberty. I can go pick up all my supplies out of the Honda and throw them into the Jeep. So I did that. I threw all my supplies into the Jeep. While I'm at the mechanics, the Jeep just doesn't want to start. It's not making any noise. It's not a dead battery because he tried to jump my battery. The starter's not making any noise.
Yeah.
We got no clue. It's like a evil spirit is in my car. This is the day before a mission trip. And so I'm like, this is not my, if y'all online can see, the Honda Accord is up on that vehicle still. My Honda Accord hasn't even been taken off of the tow vehicle. And I pull up, and this boy, I drag everything out of here. He lets me climb up on there. I knew the guy. He lets me climb up on there and grab everything out. Boom, throw it into here. He says, I'll get to it in a minute. I've got to clear space. And then my car dies right there. So I put a little caption, mine and mine.
So did you feel liberated in your liberty?
Oh, my gosh. No, I felt heated. And I was like, God's going to do something amazing on this mission trip. So I then tell on my Facebook, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do because I needed a vehicle to be able to drive the 3 students that I was going to drive. I needed a vehicle to drive these 3 students. And somebody in the church very graciously provides, boom, this wonderful Mustang. Now, this thing looks beautiful right here. That's because I spent about 2 hours detailing it on the outside and about 3 hours on the inside. No, I'm just kidding. Probably 2 hours on the inside.
And you probably doubled the value of it just by cleaning it.
Yes. This thing came out of a field. This was in the backyard in the woods, covered in, weeds and grass and branches around it, and sap was all over it. And I detailed this
Actually,
sucker.
a nice looking car.
I know. I made it look really nice, and now I'm pretty sure they sold it right after this. But then, Steve, we go to pump gas in it so that we can drive to where we're going to meet people for the, to take the plane take a bus to the Atlanta airport, and has a hole in the gas tank. This is all in one day. This is one day of me dealing with stuff to get prepared. But I do want to show people I did make it to Alaska, and I'm just proud of this picture. I think it's really cool. It's one of my favorite pictures that I have. I was one of the only people that could run the jackhammer from our group.
Wow.
And I ran that jackhammer for way too long. I even had a moment where I learned what the Bible meant when it says their hands were frozen to the sword. My arms, I was going to drink a glass of water, and my arms just tensed up, and I slammed the glass into my face.
I can't help but notice the jackhammer is just as tall as you are.
Yes. It was it was the only jackhammer probably on that side of Alaska that we could rent. And yes, and it was heavy. Especially after a few hours.
It looks like it outweighs you by 100 pounds.
Well, and that's why I'm up on a hill so I can actually use it.
Yeah.
The best that I can as
That's
I'm breaking up concrete.
It looks almost like an automatic pogo stick.
It could probably be a pogo stick. Actually, I did make the mistake of leaning on it, thinking that was smart, and I about broke my rib cage.
Oh wow.
I'm pretty sure. Anyways, so yeah, this is just some of that experience. So for those of you who are listening, this is kind of the journey, okay? I'm on this mission trip. It's amazing. I love the Lord. Things are great. We're praying for people. I have another picture where I got to do music ministry. I used to do hip hop ministry, and I'm rapping on this truck bed that's like a flat truck bed.
Yeah.
And it's all these people around, and I'm rapping to the crowd, because that was the ghetto setup we could do in Alaska.
What was your name?
It was my government. I just went by Conrad Meyer.
Oh, okay.
I always believed if I was going to be a rapper, then they should know who I am.
Yeah.
And then I get home and I decide I'm going to buy a Honda Ridgeline. I should have a picture of that. I just don't. I decide I'm going to buy a Honda Ridgeline. I'll sell those other vehicles, when they get fixed. Now, the other side of transparency here is I had roommates. So it was a little bit cheaper living with roommates because they were paying a significant portion. They weren't paying all of it, but they were paying a significant portion. So I was like, I can handle a vehicle loan. I can do this. And so I feel I can do a vehicle loan. No sooner did I get used to driving that Ridgeline, I get a notice in the mail that if I don't redo my roof, they are going to cancel my insurance.
How long were you in the house when they said this to you?
At that point, it was probably 2 years. So I think
what they do? Come by and assess it or something?
They came by, and I think they drove by and assessed it. So yeah, that was fun. Was that it was about 2 years in at this point.
Wow.
Because the kitchen's actually remodeled in this part. When we're redoing the roof, remodeled meaning really ghetto.
Did you buy this house to just live in it, or were you going to flip it?
No, I was going to live in it. And then all this stuff happened. And so I ended up having the loan for the HVAC. And this is where I want to show you. Here's the brand new HVAC unit for the people online. That brand new HVAC is right there. Just chilling. That's the Goodman unit.
To just tie this all in,
it was
you were
pouring.
you were buying assets like a house, 2 cars
in cash,
and then Murphy's Law moved in, and all 3 became a liability.
All 3 became a liability, and I reacted emotionally because I went and got the Liberty. Or excuse me, I went and got the Honda Ridgeline.
Yeah.
Now, the crazy part about getting the Honda Ridgeline, I didn't know then, but I know now that the man who sold me the Honda Ridgeline is my wife's dad.
Oh, wow.
Is Butch. Now, he was going to our church, but I met with him, and he was like, look, man, this is the best deal I can get you on this. And he really did, because they had another Honda Ridgeline on the lot that was the same type of Honda Ridgeline, maybe a little bit less mileage, and they wanted way more. And so
Yeah.
he sold it to me. It's still, no dealership gives you a deal that doesn't that hurts them.
Yeah.
So,
they got to make money.
So as I share this, the reason I'm sharing this is because I want people to understand that you may be a very logical person until your emotions come into play.
Oh, yeah.
And when everything started falling apart for me, I knew I needed a reliable car. And I had tried, I'll just be honest, I had tried the Dave Ramsey way.
Yeah.
The Dave Ramsey way is to have a cheaper car. And now I know some people say, well, you didn't need 2 cars. I get it. One of those cars was given to me when I sold my other car.
Yeah.
And so I'll just say this, you can do it the Dave Ramsey way and it can still go bad.
Yeah.
But here's where you have to be careful. You got to breathe. You've got to stop and think rationally, not emotionally. Don't be like me. I took a loan out for the HVAC. I took a loan out for the ridge line. Then I had no choice but to take a loan out for my roof. At that point, I had not only a mortgage, but I had another, what was it, $30,000, $40,000, but each of them were separate loans. So I was like, well, it's probably about $30,000 because the ridgeline was 16. And so as I share all that, I want people to think about this. I just served God on a missions trip, and now it feels like everything's falling apart. Why is it, Steve, do you think obedience sometimes feels like punishment when it comes to our finances?
Because it means putting off to another day what you want to get immediately, and it requires patience. And when you're young, and obviously you were really young
I had no one telling me how to do life. No one offered me advice. No one tried to help me.
And granted, you should have, I wish you would have had somebody to come up alongside you.
Me too.
To at least help you through what you were going through, because you were trying to do everything right. And it sounds like you were very innovative anyway. You were always trying to think of how to make it better. And you did try to prepare as best you could. But, tell me this. When you were going through that situation, at what point, because we haven't gotten to that point yet, and I may be putting the cart before the horse.
You're okay.
But at what point did you either hit the wall or hit your breaking point? Because everything's happening. Was it 1, 2, 3, these 3 things? Because there's also a story behind the whole missions trip and how that got derailed right in the middle of it.
Right. That's a podcast for another day.
That's a podcast for another day. There were several other things, and I know we're not even naming everything because there's some things you probably don't even remember that happened because they were coming at you so fast.
Oh, it was left and right. I had roommates pay me late.
Yeah.
That's what made the loan scary. It wasn't that, like, roommates, if they paid me on time, honestly, like, I could have made it work.
But what made you pivot?
So,
there had to be something that said, hey, it's time for a 180. Did you find it on your own, or because obviously you're a praying man at this time because you're in ministry.
Yeah.
What made you pivot?
So this is where my whole life changed in the way I looked at finances. I lost. I threw in the towel.
Really?
I sold the house.
Okay.
I literally figured out how much, if I sold this house, how much would wipe out all my debts except for the ridge line. And what that number was $118,000. I walked away with nothing.
Broke even.
I worked my butt off remodeling it. I put a recording studio in there. I closed off a room and added a wall in between a room and had a recording booth, and had, not that somebody who's going to go buy that house is going to care about that, but I had planned on this house being a house in my life that I was going to have. So I built a recording studio, and I did this. And I will say this, that in this season, this crushed me.
Yeah.
This probably put a major nail in the coffin for music for me. This also, for me personally, it caused me to think about, when I help people, am I helping them in a place where it's going to hurt me?
Yeah.
Because I was helping people, and I love them boys to death. They're my brothers in the Lord. But they hurt me by not being able to pay on time, because they were being unwise with their finances.
I'm going to throw you a loop here
Yeah.
and
No,
ask
you're
you a
good.
question.
You're good.
How did you deal with that bitterness? Because obviously, a root of bitterness came in. Not only because I know how it is to be, living for God. Like you're expecting God to do certain things.
Help me out, man.
It's like, Lord, you see what I'm doing. I went on a missions trip for you, Lord.
Yeah.
And you allowed this to happen.
Yeah.
Because you had the faith to do this mission trip and you put everything off. You've sacrificed.
That took like 20 students.
Yeah. And you put up with that,
Right.
which is more than I would have done.
Right.
Because you're on your
Maybe
own,
15,
buddy. I'll make a donation. Y'all go have fun.
Might be exaggerated numbers.
Yeah. But you're going through all that and you're expecting God to step in at some point and have that really nice member of the church saying, put their arm around you and say, son, I know you've been working hard. You've been doing everything. Because we all have that thought when we're going through it.
Does
and we're in
anybody
ministry.
see
Am I invisible?
Yeah.
Do y'all see me struggling over here? I'm carrying this cross.
Preach.
Where's all my help at, Lord?
To anyone who's
where are you,
involved with their
Lord?
local church, let me just say this. Love on those youth pastors, those young guys, love those young ladies, those people who are serving and leading in the church. Love on them, not just invite them over for dinner.
Yeah.
But say, hey, if you ever just need somebody to talk to about life and decisions, and you're somebody who can offer some type of wisdom to them, be that person. I didn't have anyone. I was out there ministering to everybody, and I had no one.
And the thing is that, there are people in our lives, our personal lives, friends, family, in our church that they want to see you. They say they want you to succeed, but then they'll also watch you fail and not offer a hand to pick you up because they feel like as the older generation, he's got to learn a lesson or he's got to learn how to pick himself up by his own bootstraps. But it's really not that what they fail to see is it's not really you that needs to pick yourself up from your bootstraps. It's letting go and listening to God and realizing that God is removing things from you and because your circumstance didn't take you, it took you by surprise.
Right.
But he was not. He knew what was coming because he also knew what blessings were coming and how he was gonna bless you.
Yeah.
Can you, is it too soon to ask the question, what happened after you've made that pivot? There's got to be a moment where you go, God, you've got to do something.
Yeah.
Where did God show up and show you his faithfulness?
So the major thing is it's found, and I'm not going to say that I read this verse and it immediately spoke to me.
You didn't just open the Bible and it faltered at
this is the verse that changed my life.
Yeah.
But I knew about this passage, and it reminded me that I have so little going on in comparison. So this is Paul talking in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7. And I'm going to start there. I have a different place in my notes, but I want to start there because Paul says we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed, always carrying in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifested in our bodies. For we who live are always being given over to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus also may be manifested in our mortal flesh. So death is at work in us, but life in you. Look what they're going through. The worst financial catastrophe that could happen in your life is nothing in comparison to what Paul and the disciples were going through for the cause of Christ.
They had no support group at all. They were the Mavericks.
Well, their support group was themselves, other apostles and disciples.
They were doing something new.
And it wasn't financially related.
No.
It's because they're preaching the gospel.
Yeah.
So when I was going through all that stuff, I said, though he slay me, will I serve him? Will I serve him even if he slays my bank account? Will I serve him if everything that I thought was going to work this way and how I believed it was going to happen? Would I serve him if I end up, on some little trailer in the middle of the woods? Would I still want to serve him? And in this season of my life, I'm going to be honest and say, yeah. I said, I guess I'm not meant to have all this right now.
Yeah.
But I'm going to learn from this. And it hurt. Steve, it hurt to let go of that house after doing all that work myself.
So you saw this as a loss.
As a loss and a lesson.
And a lesson.
It was a loss and a lesson.
Okay.
It wasn't a loss in the sense that I ended up in the negative.
What did your mentor say to you going through this?
Honestly, I really didn't have anybody to call through this. And I probably did, but I didn't want to. And I don't remember calling anybody really when I was walking through this.
Was it a pride thing? You didn't want them to know? Or you just you thought it might hurt you in your job?
I knew what people were going to say.
Yeah.
But they weren't there when I was walking through everything. Because they would have been like, well, you shouldn't have done this. No, duh, I shouldn't have done that. No, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. Well, where were you?
Yeah.
When I needed that relationship, and I didn't have people in my corner at this time for that. And that's when I got crazy. I started picking up financial books.
Yeah.
And I would read them and I would look at advice they were giving because they'd walked through the heck. They'd walked through all that stuff. And I was like, this makes sense. How come nobody taught me this? And I remember, honestly, Steve, I was a little bit bitter. I was sitting in the back of the church like, all you people, these older guys, I know you know this stuff.
Yeah.
I come from a broken household. My dad didn't talk about finances. He didn't talk about, credit cards. And that wasn't even on top of my credit cards, which I had credit cards swipe, brother. I was in that season, I built a recording studio and I was putting stuff on the credit card like, I'm going to do ministry. God will pay it back. I'm going to do ministry. God will pay it back.
I'm going to step out in faith.
I'm going to step out in faith. Swipey swipe.
I'm going to use my MasterCard,
And I do believe that God blessed
Yeah.
my ignorance in some areas.
Yeah.
Ignorance meaning I did not know. I did not know better. But I also want people to understand that God doesn't promise protection from problems, but his presence through them. And stewardship isn't just saving money. It's learning how to rebuild peace after the storm. And so after this happened, though, there was a shift that began to happen in me where it was like, it can all go bad really quick. So do I have my things or do my things have me?
Pop quiz.
Yes, sir.
Did you stop tithing in the middle of this storm?
I didn't.
You kept tithing?
I kept tithing.
Regardless of what you was going through?
Regardless. The only time I stopped tithing is when I wasn't attending a church. Mm-hmm. And when I was going, I didn't stop tithing, but okay, I'll say it like this. I wasn't tithing to the local church because the Assemblies of God, when I was an Assemblies of God minister, I tithed to the district.
Okay.
So I would only tithe to them, and I felt like I wasn't tithing at our church. So I actually turned in my credentials. Oh, wow. And I told them, this church is ministering to my family.
Okay.
You guys don't reach out to us.
This is the church you're working with?
No. So like, I'm just saying the only time I stopped tithing technically.
Oh, gotcha.
Was at a time where I was like, I don't know where this needs to go right now.
Yeah. I got you.
And I was like, and I will say I've forgotten before, and I go, oh crap, I better pay that month in this month.
Yeah.
But I also don't have a regular income, so it's a little bit weird right now. So every once in a while, I get a little thing, and I'm like, okay, this can go here.
That's usually the first thing to go. The reason I said that, and threw that on you, he didn't know I was going to hit him with that.
No, it's okay.
But I didn't know what he was going. I didn't know he was going to talk about all that either.
No, brother. In that season, I kept tithing.
Because I'm guilty of being that guy.
Yeah.
And I know there's an audience out here that's thinking the same way. That's usually the first thing to go is the tithing.
Right.
Well, God's got plenty of money.
Right.
He can wait till next Friday to get his money.
Right.
And I've been that guy that would take my tithe money and use it for something else until I realized that tithe money was seed money for my future blessings that covered me. I didn't realize it at the time when I was given the tithe.
It was a mustard seed of faith.
But when I fell away from church, I found supernatural blessings when I wasn't following God. I was reaping benefits of tithes that I paid in the past.
It's like a grace, an extra
Yeah,
because
because there were
covered.
times when
Not that it's
we got
guaranteed
down
for anybody out there.
to hardly anything, or
Yeah.
if there was a job change, and I was like, oh, what am I going to do? You know, how am I going to, make this little bit of money last? And there would be just a check show up in the mail. You pay too much in taxes. Here's this, or they passed a law that now you get this much on earned income credit for having the kids. You
weren't watching those preachers on TV. They're like, you're gonna get a check in the mail if you call in.
I never showed any money to them. But
I'm just teasing.
It was just amazing how there was always something there.
They just kind of just showed up that you were like not expecting.
Up.
Yeah.
And you would get just like supernatural blessings.
And it would be at the right time. It's not
It'd
just...
it would be right on time.
It's not just that it's a coincidence
that,
oh, wow, I overpaid this. Yeah. It would show up when you were like biting your nails.
Exactly.
And it would be like, he's never late.
Yeah.
And then somebody would be like, well, that's just the government giving your money. But what caused it to show up then?
Yeah, exactly.
And not 3 days later, whenever I'd already lost whatever I couldn't pay for, whatever. Like
exactly.
We got just a few minutes left, and so we kind of want to land this plane, if that's okay.
Sure.
And I want to just tell you there's some practical takeaways.
Okay.
Number one, breathe before you budget. Just breathe before you budget. Don't just sit there and when chaos hits and panic, pause and pray first. If there's anything I wish I would have done a little bit differently, is I would have just stopped and said, at this time, I don't need a Honda Ridgeline.
Yeah.
I just don't. And then when I would have got that thing in the mail, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted the Honda Ridgeline. I was like, I want a reliable vehicle.
Yeah.
I drive, I rap at different churches, I speak at different places. I want a reliable vehicle. I need a reliable vehicle.
Or we can talk ourselves into anything.
Oh yeah, and people do that all the time. I just want a reliable vehicle. I'm like
that's not the devil talking you into that. That's your flesh.
Yeah, you're right. You're talking yourself into that. But breathe before you budget. Number two, rebuild, recover, repeat. An emergency fund is a cycle, not a one-time goal.
Yeah.
So I didn't have an emergency fund. It got wiped out in this process. Guess what? I have an emergency fund today.
Yeah.
Because you rebuild, you recover, and then you repeat. And don't forget to check out my Instagram and my TikTok, Healthy and Holy. Look up Healthy and Holy, and you will see we have that little financial plan to save $1,225. And it tells you exactly how to do it. If you have any questions, shoot me a message. I'll walk you through it. And then number three, learn, don't label. So like I told you, it was a loss, but it was a lesson. So I'm not labeling it as I'm a loser and I lost.
It was a rung on the ladder. It was a step.
It was just a step. It was a lesson that I had to learn, and this is how I learned it.
Yeah.
And so learn, don't label. So don't call it failure, call it education. It just changes the way you look at the problems and the things that you face. Let's say you do have to sell your house and move back into an apartment. That's okay. It is okay to start over.
Yeah.
There's 75-year-olds starting over. There's 65-year-olds. There's 35-years-olds starting over.
That just tells you you're still alive.
You're still alive, and you've got time to go and time to grow.
That's it.
So keep going. Number 4, remember who holds your story. If you're still breathing, you're still becoming. There is something still happening in your life. And so as we continue in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, I just wanted to share this verse 16, because Paul's talked about all these things, and he talks about we have the same spirit of faith, and he's like trying to encourage, and he says in verse 16, so we do not lose heart. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. Verse 18, as we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. Yeah. Everything that we face in this life is temporary. If you are a believer in Christ, then you get to stand on this fact. Pain, problems, failures, anything that happens in this life, if you are a true believer,
That's right.
is temporary. Your eternity is secure in Christ. You will be in a place where there's no more weeping, no more tears, no more pain, no more suffering. You will be walking on streets of gold, right? As Scripture tells us, right?
That's
like
right.
we will be with Jesus in heaven, and we will not have all these problems. These are momentary afflictions. So as we close, if you're listening right now and you feel like your life's been one long rainstorm, I get it. But hear this, financial ruin isn't final. As long as there's breath in your lungs, God is not done with you. He's rebuilding something deeper, your faith, your endurance, and your dependence. So take heart, whether you're facing bills, breakdowns, or burnout. Jesus has already overcome what's trying to break you. Don't let the storm define your story. Let it deepen your strength and let it strengthen your faith. Father, I just thank you for the people who listen to this message, watch this message. I pray, Father, that you would help Steve and I to live with wisdom and to be able and be willing to sit down with young people who are learning right now through the trials of life. Help us to be encouraging. Help us to offer wisdom and not condemnation. Help us to just totally build up others that are struggling and let them know, God, that you are doing a work in their life. And so for the person listening, God is doing a work, even if you don't see it, even if you don't believe it. God is doing a work in you, through you, and for you. And so you may walk through the craziest of financial solutions. Remember, it's just a momentary affliction. There is something so much greater waiting for you. And in this life, we will have trouble, but Jesus tells us to take heart because he's overcome the world. In John 16, verse 33, go look it up. In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Jesus doesn't sugarcoat it. We will face trouble, but he also says, take heart. That means no matter how bad it looks, financially, relationally, or emotionally, as long as there's breath in your lungs, God's not done. Thanks for listening.